Jai Shri Radhe. So Vaishnav ko Jai Shri Krishna. Today we continue with this Varta of Madhav Das ji in Varta number 18 in the 252 Vaishnava Vartas of the disciples of Shri Gosai ji, starting with part 1, Varta Prasang 1. In this way, Madhav Das came to be initiated by Shri Gosai ji. However, his parents were not devotees. When they knew that he had become a Vaishnava, they rejected him. They gave no financial help to Madhav Das. Madhav Das was an accomplished Vaishnava, thus in this matter he felt neither joy nor sorrow. However, his father's nature was rascalish, and he would become very angry when he looked at Madhav Das. He mockingly told his fellow villagers, "Look, Madhav Das has become a Vaishnava, so he is of no use to me now." Many days passed like this. When he got to the age of 75, he did feel that he had been a very bad menace, and so he decided he should repent by going on a pilgrimage. He took his wife and 4,000 rupees and set off. He put the rest of the money kept at home in such a place that Madhav Das should never find it. He left the house and went towards Delhi. About 30 miles out, one Chobe Brahmin from Mathura came before him and began to guide them towards Mathura. Then that Brahmin said to Madhav Das's father, "You are going on a pilgrimage. Your trip will be much more rewarding if you first honour your guru and take his blessing." Madhav Das's father thought, "Out of greed for money, this man has led us on for 40 miles. If he were to be my guru, he would never be able to fulfill my spiritual needs. Therefore, if I am to take shelter of my guru, it should be Madhav Das's guru." His mind became fixed on this idea, and he would not listen to anyone else's opinion. He and his wife left Mathura for Adel. They reached Prayag after several days, and from there they went on to Adel. The guard at the door sent word to Shri Gosai ji that Madhav Das's father had arrived. Shri Gosai ji called him inside. When the husband and wife reached the inner room and saw Shri Gosai ji, they both felt most blissful. Shri Gosai ji invited them to sit down. They bowed low to him and then sat down. Shri Gosai ji asked them how Madhav Das was. Then Madhav Das's father humbly supplicated Shri Gosai ji, "O Maharaj, since I was 12 years old, I have been focused on worldly matters. Now I am old, I have finally changed my attitude. Therefore, O Maharaj, please accept me into your shelter." Shri Gosai ji told them both to go and take a bath, which they did, and then returned to Shri Gosai ji and bowed to him. Shri Gosai ji then initiated them both with the Lord's name and Brahma Sambandh. At that moment, their attachment to everything else was broken. He said to his wife, "Is there really anywhere else to go now? The faults of my mind have all been dispersed. Let's now stay here in Adel. Let us have the sight of Shri Gosai ji daily." So they stayed there for quite some time. One day, Shri Gosai ji asked them, "Are you not going to continue on your pilgrimage?" They replied, "What is the use now of going on pilgrimage? We would like to stay here by your door and daily have your sight. This is our heart's desire." Then Shri Gosai ji said, "No, don't do this. An accomplished Vaishnava should keep track of their worldly affairs." They then handed over the money order of 4,000 rupees that they had brought with them. Madhav Das's father took a loan against this from the store manager and went to Gaya to honour their ancestors. They then returned to Adel and bowed to Shri Gosai ji. Then Madhav Das's father wrote a letter to his son telling him where he had hidden the money in the house, and sent one man to his son with a letter. He wrote, "Please gather up all the money from the house hiding places and quickly bring it with you when you come over here." The letter reached Madhav Das, and he was so happy to read it. Madhav Das brought all that money with him to Adel when he came to have the sight of Shri Gosai ji. It took him a few days to reach there. The parents then said to Shri Gosai ji, "We have come to your shelter and been blessed by your lotus feet through the good auspices of our son Madhav Das." The father said, "I was displeased with my son for so long. Should I ask his forgiveness so that my behaviour should not be an obstacle to my devotion? I will do whatever you say." Shri Gosai ji told him, "This would be good. However, Madhav Das is your son." So then the father very happily embraced his son. He kissed his face and said, "O my son, we have attained Shri Gosai ji's lotus feet through your auspices alone. Otherwise, how could this have come about, that such as we attained to his feet?" Madhav Das listened to his father's words and replied, "The Lord is all-powerful. He doesn't take much time to turn the mind and heart around to the right direction, and he never abandons souls once he has accepted them." When Madhav Das said this, his parents were overjoyed. Then Madhav Das gave his father all the money he had brought with him from home. The father then donated all of that to Shri Gosai ji's store. Then they sat by the door. Shri Gosai ji then instructed them to both serve the Lord through the flower Seva. He told them to take their prasad along with the other inner servants and to regularly have the holy sight of Shri Thakurji. Bhav Prakash. Why? These two came from Shri Yamunaji's group of Sakhis and were the gardeners. The father was Gendua and the mother was Surajmukhi. This is why Shri Gosai ji asked them to serve through the preparation of flower garlands and arrangements. Part 1 continued. Madhav Das stayed many days with Sri Gosaiji before returning home, having taken his leave. When he took his leave from his father told him where even more money was hidden in the house, and Madhav Das arrived home after a few days. His parents stayed with Sri Gosaiji. Bhav Prakash. Good association is very powerful. An embodied soul should keep good company in this way. The parents' destiny was perfected through Madhav Das's association. Thus concludes the story of Madhav Das, who was the recipient of grace from Sri Gosaiji and was an accomplished Vaishnava. Therefore, there is truly no end to his story. Varta 19. The story of a father and son, both Kayastha, who lived in Himsar. Bhav Prakash. The father and son are both devotees of a tamas disposition. In the eternal Leela, the father is Vrajangana and the son is Vrajavallabh. Vrajangana manifests from Prema Manjari, and so she is a form of her divine loving sentiment. Her closest Sakhi is Vrajavallabh, who was born here as the son. The father and son Kayasthas lived in Himsar, but they came to Delhi for work. They served the local king. They earned a lot of wealth. Once they both went to Orda district for work, and after that they travelled to Mathura and Vrindavan to have the holy sight of the Lord. Having done this, on the way back, they came to Gokul. They were standing on Sri Thakurjani Ghat. Sri Gosaiji was there performing his evening prayers. They both were looking at him, and when he looked at them and smiled, they thought to themselves that there must be a reason for this. The father then asked him why he had smiled on seeing them, and he replied, "My disciples and I were just talking and laughing." The father again requested Sri Gosaiji to tell them what it was about, saying that they were ignorant souls and understood nothing by themselves. Sri Gosaiji, seeing his humility, told him, "You have forgotten who you really are and are wandering all over the place. That is why we laughed, thinking that you are wasting your lives." Their Kayastha father employed Sri Gosaiji to bless them and give them proper understanding by accepting them into his shelter. "It is true what you are saying, that we are just wasting our lives." Seeing their ardour, Sri Gosaiji told them both to go back. Go and bathe in Sri Yamunaji, and then quickly come back to the temple so that he could initiate them. Sri Gosaiji initiated both of them in front of Sri Navaneet Priyaji with the Lord's name and Brahma Sambandh. When Sri Thakurji was resting, Sri Gosaiji came into his betak. The father and son bowed low to Sri Gosaiji and said, "O Maharaj, we are truly ignorant souls. Please tell us about who we really are." Sri Gosaiji told them to eat prasad before coming to listen to him. The father and son sat there. Sri Gosaiji went to have his prasad. At that moment, Chachaji arrived there. When Sri Gosaiji had finished his prasad, he came back and relaxed on his couch and cushions. Chachaji bowed to him. Sri Gosaiji told Chachaji to keep the father and son with him for some time to make them understand the ways of the path of grace. Teach them all about their true form, who Sri Thakurji is, and what are the principles and practices of this path. He then told the pair to go and partake of prasad. They did so and then came back to Sri Gosaiji and again bowed to him. Sri Gosaiji went off to take rest, and then Chachaji took the two of them to his home. He reminded them of their duties as surrendered souls, and then the whole of the principles of the path became clear to them. They realized who Sri Thakurji, Sri Gosaiji and they really were. Sri Gosaiji blessed them fully just by a moment's association with Chachaji. They remembered their surrender at all times. Seeing this, Sri Gosaiji told them that they could now go home because wherever they were, the world would not affect them. They took leave and went home. Here we conclude today's reading, and we'll continue again tomorrow. So Jai Shri Krishna, Aaj ke Anand ki Jai ho, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.